WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. Today I have something from Westland Colere Edition 2, whiskey base 214490, and this is part of their Outpost range, which means it's not part of the standard, but more of an experimental type of working with whiskey from Westland distillers out in Seattle, Washington. So one of 3,000 bottles worldwide, 70 CLs. They switched very quickly to 70 from 750, so they could actually provide the world with whiskey and not just the US. Thank you very much. They are owned by the same French company that owns Bruichladdich. So they're doing interesting experimental work there. So this bottle costs over here in Germany between 150 and 160 euros. That is a lot of money for a whiskey that is 4 years, 357 days old. So it's almost 5 years of age. So what is the particularly special part here of the Colere, I hope I pronounced it correctly, range? They are focusing on different barley types. So the first one that they did, the first one was actually then a two-row, let's see here, a two-row barley. So can I get this here? The word colere means to cultivate in Latin, and it was the Albe barley, which is a 6-row winter barley. And now we have, with our second edition, we have Talisman, which is a 2-row winter variety. Yeah, okay, the second edition of Colere continues our exploration of new varieties of barley, bred outside the commodity system with flavor first in mind, not just yield. Colere Edition 2 is a limited annual bottling made with Talisman, a 2-row winter variety descended from the impressible Maris Otter and matured in only used casks to relegate, wow, Jason, the oak influence to a supporting role and focus the attention on the grain itself. I love that. Now, what I'm going to pull out here, you're going to go, Jason, this is Heritage from Waterford, and they actually got from the seed bank there in Ireland 50 grams of a old Heritage grain called Hunter. And that was before also where we had more a focus on the flavor than on the yield. And they actually were able to plant it, harvest it, plant it, harvest it, plant it, harvest it, and have enough barley for 50 barrels. So the only thing is that I dislike about this is the VDN cask, the Vin du Natural. This has a significant portion of Revisal casks in it. Significant portion means in this case 16%. Revisal is a fortified sweet wine from France. And that's what I love about Westland. I think they're doing this part exactly right. They actually take first fill ex Bourbon, 58%, and then they take second fill ISC, International Stave Company's Cooper's Reserve barrels, 42%. Woodford Reserve. That was false. That was wrong. Wilderness Trail. Yeah, now we got it. Wilderness Trail uses exclusively for their own products ISC, International Stave Company's Cooper's Reserve. That's basically the upper class of the barrel quality. Now, how do you change the barrel quality? Well, it's often about the time that the oak is left out in the air to season. You can have kiln seasoned staves. You can have air seasoned stave, much better. Standard in the industry is 6 months, and the Cooper's Reserve 18 months. 18 months of goodness out in the air, actually getting here a lot of where's my stave here? Okay. Here we go. Oh, sorry, it's not 18 months, it's 24 months. 24 months seasoning out there. Yay. And that gives a lot more of the specific flavor as well. Very, very, very nice stuff that they do there. All right, so I think Westland's got it right. I personally. All right, so imagine I was able to design a study of the influence of the grain on the whiskey. All right, I would take 4 different types of barley, maybe more. I would take maybe an old Golden Promise. I would take maybe our Talisman. I would maybe take a Hunter. I would maybe take a, I don't know, did I mention Golden Promise? Yes, I did. I would take something else, an old varietal that I forgot about, and actually find farmers to grow that for me in one season, hopefully in eight similar areas. And then I would actually find a maltster to actually malt that whiskey all by that grain all by itself, so it doesn't mix and get all confused with other types of farms and other types of barley. And then I would distill this and I would put it in. Listen to me. I would put it in actually, and I'm going to pick this on purpose. I would put it in X Maker's Mark's barrels. Why? Maker's Mark has, at the moment, at least most of the time, the tendency to wash out their barrels after they dump them. They use that washed out liquid to actually dilute their spirit down to proof. And these barrels that have been washed out are not that heavily influenced anymore from the whiskey that was in there before, and they rotate the barrels so that the barrels have a certain consistency as well. I think for consistency of a product being made, Maker's Mark is hard to beat. So I would take first fill Maker's Mark bourbon barrels that have been washed out, and I'd put those 4 different varietals of distilled barley into them and let them sit at the same level of one warehouse for 7 years. Now, I'm not talking about Kentucky 7 years. I'm not talking about Texas 7 years. I'm talking about Washington State 7 years. I'm talking about Ireland and Scotland 7 years. And then after 7 years, I would actually dump them all, bottle them, and offer them to the public and say, here, we have our edition 1, 2, 3, and 4. Please try. I'd actually offer maybe little 200 milliliter bottles or whatever and say, here's your sample pack. Try these 4 and see if you notice a difference. And hopefully we would be able to. Now, the Super-GAU, German word größter annehmbarer Unfall, the biggest imaginable accident. So actually, Super-GAU means the super biggest imaginable accident, would be that we couldn't. They all tasted the same. Now, I hope that's not the case. I know with new make, I can taste the difference between the different types of grains and even the different types of farms. But the cask does have a certain effect on there. But if we keep all the variables to a tight minimum range, I think the barley could shine through. And then people would notice that it's just not the barrel, but it's also then not how the stills and not how we have the cuts and the hearts and the tails, but also the barley itself that can make a massive difference in the taste we have. But so far, now, prove me wrong, please. So far, I don't know of anyone who has released that experiment yet. And that would be fantastic. All right, it could be 3 years, it could be 4 years, it could be 5. I would like to have it a couple more years just to see how it develops there. But that would be something that would intrigue me very much. All right, on the nose, this is a solid whiskey. The official tasting notes are dried lemon peel, vanilla frosting, and fresh raspberries. I don't get the raspberries. I get a little bit of a plum. I get more of a malty, grainy goodness. Good, 50%. Cheers. Just a few days shy of 5 years of age. Now, if I didn't know better, I would say I had the following. Bruichladdich beer barley. All right? That's what it tastes like. I think Bruichladdich is doing a good job as well as presenting things and helping us understand the different types of barley, Islay barley, beer barley, and so on, organic. But this tastes basically like a Bruichladdich beer barley, which is a great, great compliment. I can get 2.5 of the beer barley bottles for one of these. And that's my number one gripe. In Washington State, $183. Over here, 150, 160 euros. I can get 2 of these easily for the price of one of these. This is 3 years and a little bit. This is almost 5 years. But still, that's way, way, way too much money. On the palate, the official tasting note says light brown sugar, dark chocolate, orange, mixed berry filling. I get a grassy moment. I get a little bit of that vanilla icing moment. I get barley sweetness. It's good. It's a C plus good. But the value for money is once again a D. I have not tried the number 1. I have not yet tried the number 3. The 3 isn't out yet. But I do think what they're doing and how they're doing this should and could be an example to the entire whiskey industry of how it's done. For us consumers, on the other hand, it's an expensive experiment that we get to take part in. And it's going to be over years. I would just love to have everything at the same time be released and not edition 1 this year, 2 next year, 3, 4, and I have to actually gather the bottles. If I do start drinking them, does the level of the bottle fill change the whiskey in any form, manner, or way? So, Waterford, in my personal opinion, it's not totally masked, but it is partially masked by the Rivesal wine moments here of the casks. I just wish I could have had this whiskey much more in its pure state of an ex-bourbon barrel. Even a second fill ex-bourbon barrel would have been great. 42% second fill, 58% first fill. Well done, Westland. WhiskyJason here. What problems do you see with my experiment? What problems do you see with actually putting the stock down and putting in the Maker Mark's cask? Do you have a better suggestion? What other problems do you see of having it actually released all 4 different types of varieties at the same time, of maybe doing a sample pack and so on, those little airplane bottles and so. What things have I not thought through that might be important there? Thank you very much. Westland, keep up the good work. Keep on experimenting. Keep on using your Outpost range products to show us something that is just amazingly different from anything else out there. And thank you very much for watching, liking, subscribing, and telling others. See you soon. Bye-bye.